Science has given us fire, medicine, rockets, and the internet. But it's also given us gas chambers, fake miracles, and experiments too horrifying to imagine. Not every scientist in history deserves celebration. Some changed the world in ways we wish they hadn't. Others let politics, greed, or ego corrupt their work. Today, we count down the top 5 most infamous scientists and explore the darker side of human curiosity. Number 5. Jack Parsons, born in 1914, died in 1952. Our first entry into the darker side of the Science Hall of Fame is Jack Parsons, a rocket pioneer who summoned demons. Parsons was no ordinary engineer. A self-taught chemist from Pasadena, he was obsessed with rockets long before NASA existed, at a time when most scientists thought spaceflight was fantasy. With a group of fellow enthusiasts, he co-founded what became the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. His work on solid rocket fuel transformed rocketry, making launches more powerful and reliable. Without Parsons, the Apollo missions might never have left Earth. But his genius came with chaos. Away from the lab, Parsons immersed himself in the world of the occult. He became a follower of Aleister Crowley, the self-proclaimed wickedest man in the world, and led rituals mixing mysticism with science. He believed magic and rocketry were linked, that both were ways to break humanity free from earthly limits. Parsons's personal life was just as dramatic. Affairs, secret societies, and tensions with colleagues who considered him dangerous and unstable. His story ended at only 37, in a mysterious explosion in his home laboratory. Some called it an accident. Others whispered about sabotage or even ritual gone wrong. In the Science Hall of Fame, Parsons stands as both a visionary and a cautionary tale, proof that brilliance and self-destruction can sometimes be two sides of the same coin. Number 4. Hwang Woo-suk, born in 1953. Next in our Science Hall of Fame of infamy is Hwang Woo-suk, a modern scientist whose rise and fall shook the world. In the early 2000s, Hwang was hailed as a pioneer of stem cell research. He announced a breakthrough that seemed almost miraculous. He had successfully cloned human embryos and derived patient-specific stem cells. The medical possibilities were endless, curing degenerative diseases, regenerating organs, reversing spinal damage. He was celebrated in South Korea as a national hero, even appearing on postage stamps. But behind the scenes, the story was unraveling. Other scientists struggled to replicate his results. Whispers of irregularities grew louder, and in 2006 the truth came out. Much of Hwang's work was fabricated. His supposedly cloned stem cell lines did not exist. The miracle had been manufactured. Worse still, investigations revealed that some human eggs used in his lab had been obtained unethically, from junior researchers pressured into donating. What began as the promise of a medical revolution collapsed into one of the biggest scandals in modern science.
용서를 줍니다. 죄송하다는 말씀조차 드리기 어려울 정도로 참담한 심정입니다.
Though Hwang later went on to do legitimate cloning work with animals, his reputation never recovered. In the Science Hall of Fame, he represents the dangers of ambition unchecked by honesty, how the pressure to deliver miracles can lead to fraud, and how public trust in science can be shattered in an instant. Number 3. Fritz Haber, born in 1868, died in 1934. Few names in the Science Hall of Fame are as conflicted as Fritz Haber. He was both a savior of humanity and a harbinger of death. Born in Germany in 1868, Haber solved one of the greatest scientific challenges of his age: how to capture nitrogen from the atmosphere. Until then, fertilizer was limited to natural sources like manure or scarce deposits of nitrate. Haber's invention, the Haber-Bosch process, allowed nitrogen to be pulled directly from the air, producing ammonia on an industrial scale. With this process, agriculture was transformed. Billions of lives were saved from famine, and Haber won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1918. But science can serve more than one master. During World War I, Haber turned his chemistry toward warfare. He became the architect of Germany's chemical weapons program, overseeing the first large-scale use of chlorine gas on the battlefield at Ypres in 1915. Thousands of soldiers died in agony. Haber defended his work as patriotism, saying, "In peace for mankind, in war for the fatherland." His personal life was marked by tragedy. His wife, Clara Immerwahr, herself a chemist, was horrified by his role in chemical warfare. In despair, she took her own life using his service revolver. Haber was left to live with both the triumph and the torment of his choices. Later, despite his service, he fled Germany when the Nazis rose to power. Because he was Jewish, in the Science Hall of Fame, Haber embodies the paradox of science itself. The same discovery that can feed the world can also destroy it. He is remembered not as hero or villain, but as both. Number 2. Trofim Lysenko, born in 1898, died in 1976. The man whose bad science starved millions. In the 1930s, genetics was still a young and growing field, but Lysenko rejected it outright. Instead, he claimed that plants could be trained to pass on traits, just as soldiers could be drilled in discipline. He dismissed Mendelian genetics as bourgeois lies and promoted his own theory, Lysenkoism. His timing was perfect, politically, if not scientifically. Joseph Stalin embraced his ideas because they aligned with communist ideology. If humans could be molded by their environment, then so could crops. Lysenko promised miracle harvests and rapid agricultural progress. But his methods didn't work. Crops failed, and famine spread across the Soviet Union and China, where his theories were also adopted. Legitimate geneticists who spoke out against him were fired, silenced, or even executed. Decades of scientific progress in genetics were lost, replaced with empty promises. The result was catastrophic. Millions of people died of starvation, while the truth about genetics was suppressed. Lysenko held power until the 1960s, long after his theories had been discredited elsewhere. In the Science Hall of Fame, Lysenko is infamous not just for pseudoscience, but for showing what happens when ideology controls research. His story is a stark reminder that science must remain free to seek truth, no matter how inconvenient it may be to those in power. Number 1. Joseph Mengele, born in 1911, died in 1979. And finally, the most infamous entry in the Science Hall of Fame, Joseph Mengele, the Nazi doctor at Auschwitz. Mengele was trained as a physician and anthropologist with a promising academic career before the war. But at Auschwitz, he became known as the Angel of Death. His experiments on prisoners, especially children, were cruel beyond imagination. He injected chemicals into eyes in attempts to change their color. He conducted operations without anesthesia. He performed gruesome experiments on twins, sometimes mutilating them or killing one to compare with the other. Unlike true science, his work had almost no medical value. It was driven by ideology and sadism, wrapped in the language of research. For the victims, it was nothing more than torture. After the war, Mengele escaped capture. He fled to South America, moving between Argentina, Paraguay, and Brazil. Despite being hunted by Nazi hunters and intelligence agencies, he lived under false identities for decades, supported by a network of sympathizers. He drowned in 1979 while swimming in Brazil, never facing justice. In the Science Hall of Fame, Mengele is the darkest reminder of what happens when science loses all ethics. He stands not as a figure of discovery, but as a permanent warning. Science without morality is not science at all. It is horror. The Science Hall of Fame is not only filled with visionaries and heroes, it also remembers those who misused science, twisting it for power, ideology, or cruelty. Parsons reminds us that brilliance can veer into chaos. Hwang shows how ambition can collapse into fraud. Haber proves that one discovery can both save and destroy. Lysenko demonstrates the deadly cost of politics in science, and Mengele shows us the abyss we must never enter again. These infamous scientists are as much a part of the Science Hall of Fame as Newton or Tesla, because science is not just about discovery, it is about choices. And those choices define whether humanity rises or falls. Because in the end, the story of science is the story of us, both our brilliance and our darkest mistakes. Thanks for watching this journey through the minds that shaped our world. If you enjoyed exploring the lives of history's most influential scientists, don't forget to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the Science Hall of Fame for more stories of discovery, brilliance, and human curiosity. Together, let's keep celebrating the science that changed everything.